Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
I said, put the bunny back in the box.
Hello and welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show. Coming up in this half of the show, we have a look at the DVD and Blu-ray top 10, along with reviews of these new releases.
OTT violent film, The Man with the Iron Fist, comedy drama, Silver Linings Playbook. If you ever wanted to find out what the meaning of The Shining is, then you will with Room 237. Comedy movie of sorts, mental Australian horror film, 6 plots, The Heist, which I don't know what kind of film it is, thriller, drama,
comedy,
film.
drama, yeah.
It's one of those. And a TV movie of the week.
So let's go straight into DVD and Blu-ray top 10, starting at number 10 with End of Watch.
Which I think I liked it slightly more than Andy liked it. I thought it was a good film. Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena, who played two cops, buddy cops, and it follows them in their day-to-day life. It's done in a shaky cam kind of format. It follows them throughout the film. It is more like the TV series Cops, but done for a film itself. It works for the most part. The shaky cam is a bit distracting at times. It can be a bit violent, and I found the ending of really preposterous, to be honest.
Just going to quickly say hi to the guys in the live chat, Booger and the Menace. Anyone else who's listening live, click that little red icon in the bottom right hand corner of your screen to join in the chat and join us live. Number 9 UK box office top 10 is box office UK cinema. Start again, DVD and Blu-ray. Hey, third time
that's
lucky.
Better.
Yeah. Number 9, Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted. Don't do it. Don't.
I'm not even tempted to do it. I'm trying to be a bit more perky this week, but
it's in my head, and I don't. It's like, get out. No, stay. Go. No.
Go on to YouTube and YouTube Afro Circus if you want it stuck in your head. To be honest, Madagascar 3, the best in the series by far. Even though I really like the first one, the second one is a bit of a miss. The third one is the best one by far. It's a really good, entertaining film.
Just looking up the list, it's surprising how many animated films there are. Number 8 is Dr. Seuss's The Lorax.
It's not very good, to be honest. It's a bright and brash, colourful film. If you want a film that is like candy to a young toddler or a young child, then they'll really like this because it is rated U, so it's suitable for everybody. It's not scary at all. The best thing about it is it's sort of like the Megamind kind of thing. The Minions are the best thing about that.
No, Megamind's the other one. That's
Despicable Me.
Despicable Me, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Megamind is fun as well, but Despicable Me, yeah, the Minions. Sorry, now I've got Minions in my head now.
It's all these animated films seem to need to feature little small colourful OTT kind of characters, and this does, and that's the best thing about the Lorax. It's not a very good film, to be honest.
Number 7 is Ice Age 4 Continental Drift.
Yeah, it's a series that's ran its ground. It should have just... An iceberg should have just hit it and destroyed it. I think it's a series that should end, but there's going to be a 5th one. The story is very lackluster. It's just about the family of themselves having to find a new place to live because where they're living is being destroyed. The jokes just miss, and it's a very weak entry into the Ice Age series.
Talking of Megamind, that's at number 6.
I was wondering why I was thinking Megamind, and then I realised it is in the top 10, so maybe it was a handy coincidence. I didn't fully look over the top 10 properly, but it's a handy coincidence. Again, it's another average animated film. This time it centres around the bad guys rather than the good guys, and it's voiced by Will Ferrell, and there is a sequel coming out, isn't there? If I remember correctly. I think DreamWorks are working on a sequel to it anyway. I
don't know if there is or not. I mean, it's likely if they are, it takes a while because it takes them quite a while, a couple of years just to animate it and then do all the voice recordings and stuff. So I haven't heard anything about a sequel, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a decent enough animated film. It took 148 million at the US box office, so I'm just looking at the opening weekend, and its opening weekend at the US box office only took 2.8 million, which is very small. But yeah, it's okay.
Number 5, a couple of award winners coming up here with number 5, Argo.
Best film in the top 10. It is the best film in the DVD Blu-ray top 10. We've said everything we have said about Argo. If you've still not seen it yet, please rent it out and watch it.
And another Oscar winner, number 4, Brave.
Sorry, I'm choking there. I needed a cough really badly, and yeah, I've got it out my system. Sorry. This didn't need to win their best animated film at the Oscars. It definitely wasn't the best animated film of last year. Yeah, I know that's subjective, and that's in my opinion, as one person in the live chat would say. But Andy agrees with me, and I think a lot of the critics would agree with me as well. It wasn't the standard animated film of last year. It was very average for a Pixar film.
And number 3 is Skyfall, which you're going to end up just slandering now.
No. Skyfall, just because I thought Skyfall was a below average film itself, it is. I watched it a second time and I still love the cinematography. The cinematography is fantastic. It's handled really well. I just thought the story around it, and even the bad guy, is just played by Javier Bardem, is very, very sort of like pastiche of like a 60s twirling your mustache kind of bad guy kind of character. It's a strange movie. I'm not a huge fan of Bond movies anyway, even though I was forced to watch them as a kid. I think like most people were forced to watch them as a kid if you're of my age. I thought it was below average, to be honest.
Speaking of forced to watch, last week everyone had a chance listening live to get you to listen to the number 2 movie, which is Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2, and they didn't step up and do it. So
okay, I'll throw it open again. One more week only. It's not an April Fool. If I get 5 people in the live chat, that does not include you, to say that I've got to watch Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2 by the end of the show. It has to be 5 separate people, then I'll watch it.
Can I get you to tweet it as well?
No.
Can I tweet it?
No.
Please?
Nope.
I'm just going to say quickly, Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2 is the best part of the whole thing, but it's still a weak series, and took far too long to get to where it was going and could have done better. I was really kind of disappointed with it overall as a series. Which means the number 1 movie on DVD and Blu-ray in the UK, new entry for Rise of the Guardians.
Which I really, really liked, Rise of the Guardians, more so than you did. I thought it's a really good animated film that gets a bit dark in the end. In about 60 minutes through the film. I think that's down to the fact that Guillermo del Toro was slightly involved with the film, so it does get slightly dark, but it's a really, really highly enjoyable film, Rise of the Guardians. And I said a good thing about something.
Yeah, you did. I'm just going to say, Booger has said in live chat, you have to watch Breaking Dawn Part 2, Stu. You didn't say anything about someone like Booger tweeting to get people to come in and say you have to watch it. So I'm sort of throwing that out there to Booger, hopefully listening and realising, get tweeting, mate, so we can get that sorted out. Menace, you've got to say that he can do it as well. You've got to actually say it in the chat. Come on, step up. We're going to go and take a quick break, after which we'll get on to the first of our reviews. So we'll play that just now.
Right, advert. What do I need to say in an advert? Well, I need to say that we're the Gamescast. I need to say that we're on Twitter at the Gamescast. I need to say we're on Facebook. I need to say we've got a website, thegamescast.com, and I need to say we're on YouTube. Oh yeah, and we're on this thing called Spreaker.com. Don't know where that came from. What else? That's probably it. Right, better record it. Oh, crap. That was 30 seconds. The Gamescast. Grown-up gamers talking about games. Allegedly.
So that's... I forgot what that is, because I couldn't actually hear that.
The Gamescast.
Yes, the Gamescast, sorry. I was distracted by the chat, because people popping up. So that's the Gamescast, they're no longer on Friday nights, but they are popping up with a post whenever they can of a new podcast. So check out their website, thegamescast.com, and you'll see if there's a new one on there, it will be updated. Let's go on to our first review, which I think is yourself, Stuart, isn't it?
Yeah, Booger has actually thrown up a tweet because my iPod keeps going off with a diddling noise. So if you hear that, it's my iPod with a tweet, and he has thrown up a tweet trying to persuade people to see that I've got to see Twilight Saga: Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Good man, well done, that man. Come on, get the word out there.
So I've gotten one so far because Menace doesn't know what you said.
Yeah,
and I don't think Slater has as well. So that's good.
Menace, okay, I'm just going to say quickly: get 5 people in the next 25 minutes that there are left of the show. 24 minutes. Well, 5 people.
It's four people now.
Yeah, Booger's already done it. We need 5 people all together to say in the chat, in some form or another, Stuart, you have to watch Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. And he will watch it between now and next week.
Yes, I will actually watch it between now and next week. I promise. Maybe.
No.
Possibly.
No. Anyway, let's go on with the review.
Yeah, it's for the man with iron fists. Now, I'm not going to overly go on about the storyline of the man with the iron fists because it doesn't have very much of a storyline, to be honest. It's written by both RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan and Eli Roth, and it's directed by RZA. That's RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan as well. So if you know what the Wu-Tang Clan's music is like and you know what their ethos is like, you'll understand what this film is like, because they were obsessed with feudal Japan and all these sort of like... They're not superheroes, but you can class them as the first kind of superheroes. They have these weird kind of powers, and the Wu-Tang Clan released a game called Wu-Tang Taste the Pain, which was very similar. They all had superhero powers and stuff. And this centers around, there's a village called the Leaf Village, I think it's called, which is, if I remember, it is called the Leaf Village. That's taken out of Naruto, which is the name of the main village in Naruto. And it centers around a village called the Leaf Village, which is run by this king called the Golden Lion, and he's got supposedly 2 adopted sons called the Silver Lion and the Bronze Lion. The Silver Lion decides to betray his father or his stepfather of sorts by there's this valuable money which he decides to steal himself and kill the Gold Lion and try to run this Leaf Village. There is a blacksmith character who's played by RZA himself, who plays, I think I've got his character's name written down, just Blacksmith, as a matter of fact. He works on weapons which is made specifically from mercury, where there's one of the characters in the film who shoots this mercury dart from this blowpipe of sorts, which RZA's character has created to infect people, and that's what infected the Golden Lion, the king of the village itself. With the Silver Lion now being in charge of this village, he sort of like runs amok, especially with this huge, massive, it's like brothel. It is a brothel of sorts, which is run by Lucy Liu's character. There is a character who turns up with this brothel who's played by Russell Crowe, plays Jackknife. That's Russell Crowe, not Claw. Here's a clip.
It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way at all. My name is Mr. Knife. You may call me Jack.
It's so overblown, isn't it?
Yeah, it is so overblown. That's what his character is like. What is interesting about that scene, if you see it on YouTube, you'll not actually get to see the scene itself, but it involves a knife, that dude's belly, and lots of blood. And that gives you an indication of what this film is like. It doesn't tread in the barriers of hyper-violence. There is a genre of martial art movies which are hyper-violent films. They are so over the top that you excuse them for the amount of gore that's in them, because the gore is so unrealistic. There is the Japanese revel in this kind of film. This is a very OTT violent film. It's a very comic book style violence. It's a very video game violence kind of thing. Not the realistic video game violence, but maybe like very OTT violence, like I've just said.
It is presented by Quentin Tarantino, to give you an idea of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I my personal preference, I would have preferred the movie if it went into the hyper-violent part of it, because it is such a completely frantic film at times, and the amount of gore on screen is extreme to be to be precise, there's a character who's played by a wrestler called Batista, who's able to change his body into this kind of metallic kind of substance which stops people from damaging him. And the way he revels in destroying people. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. And there is a lot of gore in this movie. But it's just, I found it missed the mark. I don't mind brain dead films. I'm not a martial art film fan at all. But it just missed the mark because of the fact that it should have went into the hyper-violent category rather than the violent category. The original cut of the film was 4 hours long. And then RZA spoke to Eli Roth about it, and he wanted the film cut in 2. But then Eli Roth said it was a bad idea, let's make the film just a 90-minute film. I'm glad he did that, but it's still just, I felt it dragged as well, and to be honest, I didn't enjoy it.
I just want to say as well that Dave Bautista, that's the one, he's the guy who's been hired by Marvel to be in Guardians of the Galaxy as Drax the Destroyer.
Yep.
So that's him you'll get to see then. I'm surprised to hear you abdicating for more violence in a film.
Yeah, I wanted it to be hyper-violent rather than just standard violent.
Yeah, I get that. I'm surprised to hear it. Silver Linings Playbook, I'm going to go on to.
Is an extremely hyper-violent film.
Yeah, no. It's written and directed by David O. Russell. It's based on a book by Matthew Quick. It stars Bradley Cooper as Pat, who at the start of the movie is brought home by his mother from a mental asylum where he's been there and been treated for a situation, for a condition where he is sort of just a kind of a bit of a manic sort of, I can't remember exactly what it is in it, but it's a weird kind of like manic, not manic depression, but I can't remember what it is, but he's basically brought home after he's been at this institute for a while by his mother to his father, played by Robert De Niro, and he comes home and everything sort of seems to be okay, but things sort of kick off one night after he's reading a book and he gets to the end of it, and it's all been building up, and it's a Hemingway book, and he gets to the end of it and basically throws it out the window angry at the end of it, and at 2:00 in the morning goes off on a rant, kind of like you do, Stuart.
I don't go off on a rant. Okay, I do.
He goes off on a rant with them sort of 2:00 in the morning about this book and how it was built up, and that kind of situation kicks off with him. He's then invited to one of his friend's dinner, for sort of being set up with a friend of his friend's wife, Tiffany, who's played by Jennifer Lawrence, who is also similarly sort of afflicted with a sort of a mental condition where she is suffering from depression of her husband had died sometime previously, and has garnered herself a sort of a reputation around the town for being extremely open to suggestion with men and such. Things between them sort of end up kicking off, and she ends up sort of befriending him. The two of them sort of agree to go out on a not date but have dinner at this diner, and meet up there one evening. Here's a clip.
Why did you order Raisin Bran?
Why did you order tea?
Because you ordered Raisin Bran.
I ordered Raisin Bran because I didn't want there to be any mistaking it for a date.
It can still be a date if you order Raisin Bran.
It's not a date. So how's your thing going? Dancing thing?
That's good. How's your restraining order?
I wouldn't actually call the restraining order my thing, but getting back with Nikki is, and I think I'm doing pretty well. Except for a minor incident with the doctor's office.
And the so-called incident with the weights.
Yeah, that was the thing with my parents. I wish I could just explain it all in a letter to Nikki because it was minor, and I could just explain it and let her know that I'm actually not out of control. And that I'm doing really well.
I can get a letter to Nikki. I see her sometimes with my sister.
Soon after that, what Pat discovers from Tiffany is that she is actually in contact with his wife, although they are estranged because of something that happened in the past. He wants to get back together with his wife, but has no way of contacting her except the fact Tiffany has said that she will pass on a letter to his wife for him, but in return she wants something out of the agreement for him. She wants him to do dance lessons with her and practice so they can actually enter in this dance, hence the title Silver Linings Playbook. It's an interesting but weird film. I mean, it's been nominated and it's won awards. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence won Best Actress for it, deservedly so, because it is a really good drama with sort of comedy elements in it between these two characters and the other characters around them. But it's very good at showing the whole thing of how mental illness affects people and affects families and such. You've got Bradley Cooper in there, who I would have never thought to have been capable of this kind of level of performance in a film. He actually really did surprise me by how solid the performance is done. You've also got in here Robert De Niro doing a great performance. This is the great Robert De Niro back again. This is not the hide and seek Robert De Niro. He plays his father, who him and his son in the film don't have the best of relationship. His father is basically a gambling addict who is always making these gambling bets between him and one of his friends over football and such. And he's more focused on that than he is on his relationship with his son. And it's one of these things that adds another side and another facet to it, which makes it for a really interesting family drama, but not for a family. I mean, it's rated 15 because there's quite a lot of strong language in it. There's there's quite stressful situations, but it's really well directed by David O. Russell, he's capable of doing these really good kinds of films when he gets good material, and he's got good material here. So this is one that you may not like everything about it, but you should definitely have a look at it because it is a really good drama and really great performances in it.
Right, next film. I'm really struggling this week. Yeah, because my next two films, I wouldn't be surprised if I do get...
I saw you tweeting. If you're going to do the one I think you're going to do next from that, I saw you tweeting about this last night, and you really did not sound very good about it.
Yeah, if I do go off on a rant, then sorry, because I might end up going off on a rant.
I need a whistle or something.
Yeah, if there's anybody in the live chat who's a fan of The Shining, listen up. That's The Shining, because of my accent. A lot of people can't understand a single word I say sometimes. But yeah, if you're a fan of,
well, you mean like the Simpsons thing of the Shinin?
Yeah, The Shinin. If you're a fan of The Shinin, if you're a fan of Stanley Kubrick's film The Shining, then let me know, because this is room 237, and it's now, I wouldn't say it's a documentary that explores the making of The Shining. This is a this first line from the description of IMDb sort of like describes on what the film's about. A subjective documentary that explores the numerous theories about the hidden meanings within Stanley Kubrick's film The Shining. So that's what this documentary is about. It's about a lot of, I wouldn't say actors, but supposedly people who have seen the film numerous amount of times, exploring The Shining's scene by scene. And I mean scene by scene. They really do pick these films apart badly, so badly that it makes a nerd look like the king of everything. And they explore the hidden meanings of The Shining itself, including scenes that, for instance, there is one person who's as a woman. She managed to get a video copy of The Shining, and over a 3-day period, she watched it numerous amount of times. And she spots this poster in one of the rooms in the motel itself. And as you can see on the poster, clearly it's a skier. Now she turns around and sees that she rewinded the film and watched that bit back numerous amount of times in slow motion. And she categorically turns around and says that it's not a skier, it's in fact a minotaur. And that Stanley Kubrick has put a minotaur in the film, and that it has hidden meaning, because if you look back into his previous films, you'll see things about minotaurs in it, and that he included a minotaur in this film on a poster because it had something to do with his previous films, even though you can categorically see underneath it saying skier. But she turns around and says it's a minotaur. And she then sees that if you look out through the rest of the film, you can see a minotaur in the carpet here and there. There is another guy who believes that in the opening sequence of The Shining, you can see Stanley Kubrick's face in the clouds. That he digitally remastered the clouds so he could put his own face in the clouds.
That was in like 19. When was it? When was The Shining again? It was like 19. I think. Yeah, early 80s, late 70s. That's before digital. Yeah.
There is numerous amount of theories in the movie. There is a scene where a chair supposedly disappears and then reappears, and they tie that down to the Holocaust, which I was extremely confused. How the hell has a chair got something to do with the Holocaust? The opening of the film involves Tom Cruise going to a movie theatre, because if you watch one of Kubrick's other films, Eyes Wide Shut, he goes to a movie theatre to see...
which, if I recall correctly, did include a Minotaur in one part where they're wearing masks.
Yeah, but this woman ties it into that. But yeah, the opening of the film is Tom Cruise going to a theatre to watch The Shining, and they try to find hidden meaning in that to do with genocide and stuff. And this whole film is picking the movie. There is one person who supposedly turned around and said that she didn't map out the entirety of the floor plan of the hotel itself, yet she goes into extreme detail about how a window should not be there, or how the little kid who rides on his bike going around the hallways and on the top level actually strategically goes above his mother at one point, goes above his father, played by Jack Nicholson at one point, before getting to the hallway with the two girls. And it couldn't have followed that exact route because the hallways aren't mapped out like that. This movie is so stupid. There was one person who I follow on Twitter who said he really enjoyed this movie because it is so daft. If you like The Shining, you'll just hate this film because it's people just being absolute nut jobs. I wouldn't be surprised if they found them in mental institutes with the reasons that they come up with on this film. I wanted to switch it off. I really did want to, because it really grated on me, this movie. But I sat through it, and honestly, if I sit through a movie like this again, I'm just going to rip off my own skin and beat myself to death with it. It is that bad. It really makes you so angry. It's beyond bonkers, Booger. It's beyond bonkers. It's absolutely nuts, this movie.
That's a bit excessive, isn't it? Sort of self-mutilation.
No, I would rather rip off my own skin and beat myself to death with it. It would be more fun.
Okay, lovely. Sounds a bit mental, really.
I was going to say the next film that describes that.
You hear what I did there with that? Yeah, no. No one else read it because I haven't told them the next film is actually called Mental yet. But it's called Mental. Yeah. It's written and directed by PJ Hogan. It's an Australian film which is being released straight. I think it got a small cinema release last year in November.
Yeah,
but
it did.
It didn't get a very widespread release. The DVD's now been released, which has got in the sort of the main character in the movie is played by Tony Collette, who plays Shaz. Now, Shaz is brought in because of. At the start of the movie, you have a family of a mother and her 5 daughters who are all sort of doing their normal sort of things, everything sort of going. They're all varying in ages from sort of, I think they're sort of like 10 up to 16 or 17. And they're all just going about the normal thing. A lot of the kids have just come home from school. And their mother is actually outside in the garden singing out loud to the sound of music.
Can I butt in just for a second? For 1 second, this has got nothing to do with your mental. On Twitter, Next Gen Gaming has just retweeted, and I'm guessing replied back with me watching Twilight, so that counts.
Ooh, so how many is that now?
3.
Oh, come on, guys. 2 more. 2 more. Come on, Slater, you got to do it in the chat. Come on. Right, back to Mental though. The family are there, and their mother is going sort of crazy, singing in the garden to the sound of music. She's listening to her headphones, but she's kind of lost it a bit. She does this weird thing where she orders loads of shopping online of deliveries of furniture and things, and they're all delivered out in the garden, and everyone can quite clearly see she's kind of lost it because she thinks that her husband won them on like Wheel of Fortune or something, and so she's sent away at the start of the film to a mental institution to basically have a rest and get sort of help. Here's a clip.
Your mum is on holiday in Wollongong, and she's having a wonderful time. If anybody asks, that's the story. You got it?
Dad, we were thinking, while Mum's away, maybe we should be seeing somebody. You know, like a psychiatrist?
What?
Someone to talk to about our problems.
What?
So we don't end up in Wollongong.
What?
Dad, I'm autistic. You can't Dad, I'm a sociopath. I don't feel anything.
Michelle hears voices, don't you, Michelle?
What? Tell Dad you hear voices. Wait.
I hear voices.
I just looking your way.
So just give you 3 times.
There are no psychiatrists in Dolphin Heads anywhere but the loony bin. And the only person in this family going to the loony bin is your mother. This wouldn't be happening to me if I had a family of boys.
Boys have breakdowns, Dad.
Not Australian boys. They're too busy playing football.
The father of the family there, played by Anthony LaPaglia, who has come back from being the mayor of the town, he is essentially quite lowest of the low. He doesn't really care about his family, as you heard there. He doesn't know what to do with them because they're all daughters, and he was sort of wishing for sons. And he's kind of a philanthropist, kind of sort of learning from the school of Bill Clinton in politics, in a way.
Lovely.
Basically, it comes down to a thing of that he then decides he needs to get a nanny in for them, and he actually sees on the street, wandering along, walking with a dog, Toni Collette there, playing Shaz, and he hires her there to be the nanny of the kids. What happens is then that Shaz comes into the house. She sort of ends up bonding with the kids a bit, and sort of reinforcing them emotionally and such, because they are all sort of at different issues with them all, and things that she does to do with the neighbours, because they don't get on a lot with their neighbours, because some of their neighbours are a bit stuck up and horrible to them and such. And she comes in and sort of starts working things between them. It's kind of like a really bizarrely weird, messed up Mary Poppins sort of thing, but not sort of mystical and magical and stuff. It's just a normal sort of thing, but it's a weird film because of the fact that you have this, I don't want to say tasteless thing, but there's moments in it which I found uncomfortably humorous, which included things like a moment where they all go down to this woman's house and make a statement to one of the neighbours who they really don't like, and they make a point of that they all go there, sit on their couch, lovely white couches, and they all sit on there talking about whether or not she has got sanitary pads for them or not, because of the fact that they're all on their cycle, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of humour, which I get it, but it's in the movie it's played out a bit overly graphic, not shown, but overly graphically talked about, which I found to be just a little bit uncomfortable. Not just that, but other bits of humour in it as well. It's not really a comedy, it's more of a drama, but it has these moments in it where it's trying to be a comedy, and it's kind of like it doesn't know which it wants to be, if it wants to be a comedy or if it wants to be a drama, because there are serious issues that are addressed in here to do with especially mental health in a couple of circumstances and a couple of scenes, and the other characters. I mean, you've got as well in the cast, you've got Lee Schreiber turns up as another character who works in a shark shop, where he's actually a hunter. He's kind of like this Steve Irwin kind of character who's well known for hunting sharks. And it's kind of like this weird mix of things that just don't entirely work. It's not a bad film. There's good performances in it. I did laugh a lot throughout it. I found myself actually laughing out loud at quite a few bits. But I kind of like afterwards was like, why was I laughing really? Because there's bits in it where I laughed and I was like, yeah, that's funny, but it's not really funny. It's kind of inappropriate. And it kind of left me feeling afterwards, I was like, yeah, I shouldn't really have been laughing at this. So, I mean, Toni Collette is absolutely brilliant in it. She's so weird and out there in this, but she gives that really good performance that she can do in films. Anthony LaPaglia is kind of wasted because he pops up here, then disappears for a while, then pops up again, and it's an okay film, but it's just not. It's not a big film. It doesn't entirely work, largely because it doesn't know if it wants to be a serious drama or if it wants to be a comedy, and because it's trying to do both, it kind of fails at both.
Okay, because we've got 11 minutes left. I'll probably only need a minute on this movie. I don't know why I subject myself to these kind of films. No, honestly, I'll take 2. I don't know why I subject myself to these kind of films. It's 6 plots. And I watched the trailer and I thought, why not? I'll review this. It was because we were struggling to try and find films to pad out this week's show, but I thought I would review it. And it's an Australian horror film of sorts. And it centres around 7 friends, not 6 friends, who decide to have a party, surprise, surprise, in this house, which is quite high-tech house. They set up cameras, etc., so they're streaming this party. One of them wakes up on the floor. She discovers that her 6 friends have disappeared. Instead of looking around this house for her 6 friends, she decides to go home. She then ends up getting this text message saying that her 6 friends are put in these wooden boxes, and she's got to try and find them before each one of them dies. In very inventive ways. As a matter of fact, the way they'll die is tied down to them. There's one guy who's a swimmer, so he'll drown. There's another guy who works at the sawmill, so he'll be cut in half, etc., etc. This movie plays... There was an Australian sort of like version of Grange Hill, which was shown on BBC Two in the UK in the very early 90s. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a high school sort of like Australian program. This plays a bit like that, mixed with Home and Away, mixed with the Halloween episode of Dawson's Creek with a little bit of gore. That's exactly how it plays out. It's
yeah, okay. Dawson's Creek with a little bit of gore.
Yeah, it's Dawson's... Can you remember the Halloween episode of Dawson's Creek where there was a serial killer around inside the house?
To be honest, I kind of wiped my memory of most of the things with Dawson's
That's
Creek.
by far the best episode of Dawson's Creek. It's actually very well handled, that episode. And so it's a mixture between Home and Away, Dawson's Creek, with a little bit of gore. The film itself is absolute garbage. I know I said the G word. The only time tonight I have said it, but don't watch it. It's pathetic. It's really badly acted. The death scenes are horrible. They're just handled really badly, and it's not inventive whatsoever. It's boring from beginning to end.
Kind of went off on a half rant there.
Yeah, because we only have 8.5 minutes left. So,
I don't need that long though for the heist, which is a comedy with elements in it, and you've got in there. I've got his name, but it's just completely blanked on me. Morgan Freeman. Why can I not remember Morgan Freeman's name? Why can't no?
Pass.
No. Well, you've got Morgan Freeman. You've got in there as well Christopher Walken, and you've got William H. Macy. There's 3 guys who work at an art exhibit in different capacities for security. The thing is that you have all them. Each of them, because they're sort of aging and they're sort of looking at potential retirement and stuff, they've all kept their jobs because of the fact that they've stayed there. They all have kind of made an attachment each with one of the pieces of art each. You have both Christopher Walken's and Morgan Freeman's characters have both sort of a picture that they stand and they find themselves completely sort of transfixed by each one in particular times and such, in particular for reasons. And William H. Macy's character, he absolutely adores a particular statue that there is there. They're all sort of disappointed when they find out that the entire exhibit is to actually be shipped off to Denmark, and so decide then they hatch a plan between them that what they're going to do is look into trying to steal these 3 pieces of the exhibit when it's being moved, so that they then can keep them themselves and replace them with duplicates. Here's a clip.
So this is about the best I could do in terms of setting up a model for us. This is the main entrance, this is the north entrance, this is the south entrance. Well, you know the layout.
I thought the north entrance would be our best chance. It's quiet and secluded, so we won't be spotted from the street. The door has a triple-action security lock, controlled electronically, and there's only one posted guard. The guard on duty is permitted 2 5-minute bathroom breaks every 3 hours. We preset the electronic locks at a specified time, make our way down the corridor to the main exhibit hall.
Mm-hmm. What about the 2 interior guards?
I don't know.
So you have this whole thing of the 3 of them set up this plan to actually go and pull off this heist where they're going to steal these 3 items of art. And the thing is about it that it's kind of a comedy, but it's not especially funny. It's more that it's sweet. It's the kind of thing you watch it and if you think you're watching it and you're like, you can sort of imagine like your grandparent being involved in something like this and going, oh, it's typical. They come up with these things they're going to do, and then they realise, oh no, we can't do this. And there's a whole thing at the beginning with Christopher Walken, who has this daydream about guys running in to steal a piece of art with their all guns and everything, shooting and stuff, and he pulls out a couple of 9mm and goes at them for sort of John Woo style and everything, which is really quite funny because you obviously know it's a daydream or something. It's not real, but it's done with such an affection that it just works. And I mean, I don't know if you can tell or not from my voice, but I'm smiling as I'm saying this because I'm just remembering those things about it. I just enjoyed a lot of it. I didn't especially laugh a lot throughout it, but I did enjoy it, and I just found it quite sweet. And the characters and the whole thing of that they're doing this because of the fact of that they don't want these pieces of art to go, that they kind of have this really strong emotional attachment to, which is kind of weird. But I got what it was about. You kind of get that from the film, so I just enjoyed it. They're not especially brilliant when they're doing the robbery. There's a funny event that happens when they're actually in the progress of doing this, which honestly did make me laugh out quite aloud, quite strongly at it. And it was enjoyable. It's not a long film. It is like an hour and a half. It's not very long, so it doesn't overstay its welcome or become boring. It's just does what it is. It's not a cinema release film, because it doesn't really deserve a cinema release. It's not that good. But on DVD, it just works in more than one way.
Okay, quickly get on to the TV movie of the week. If you've not seen the film Poltergeist, because the fact that it was the first horror film that I ever watched at the age of 2, it's being shown on BBC One on Wednesday the 3rd of April at 12:20 in the morning AM, or as Andy likes to say it, Tuesday night. 12:20 AM. I'm not sure if it's shown on the other regions, but it's definitely being shown in BBC One, natural BBC One channel. You need to see this film.
If you're in other regions and you've got Virgin Media cable, you can find around the 800 numbers. Around, I don't know if Sky have it as well, but around the 800 numbers, you have BBC London, England, and you have all the BBC channels for different regions. So if it's not on, I don't know, I'm in Scotland, but if it's not on in Scotland, you'll be able to watch it that way if you've got it.
Yeah, but I highly recommend people watching Poltergeist. It's a really creepy film, directed by Tobe Hooper, and it's written by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I won't be watching that. I'm just going to mention quickly as well, Heat is on this week on Film 4, Friday night, 9 o'clock on Friday, 5th of April. So if you haven't seen Heat, you've got to see that. It's a fantastic film. That's it for this week's Monday Movie Show. Thank you for listening to us live. You guys quickly have a couple minutes to get someone else to tweet or put it in the message saying, Stuart, you have to watch Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. We can be found on mondaymovieshow.co.uk for our website, which has all the show links on there and details of that on Spreaker and such, and anywhere else if you're listening to us back through iTunes and stuff. Thank you. We do appreciate all the listeners, and if you can quickly, please do a quick review, put us a star rating on iTunes, would be appreciated. You can also follow a few of our friends, followingthenerd.com, lolacourse.co.uk, who also have an ongoing show that will be back some point this month. From page to screen.com with the number 2 in the middle of it. You've got Menage a Geek, who is our good friend Alan Bald Gamer Dude on Twitter, who has got his new Spreaker based podcast going up for gaming as well. And also check out the Seren Foundation at serenfoundation.org.uk as well.
Menage a Geek, by the way, it goes out on a Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have that down here, but that's us for this week.
And
we are
1 second.
Yeah,
I'll quickly mention this. Slater, who's in the live chat, he's got his own website. Also, Menace has helped him out with the website as well. It's at nxtgen-gaming.com.
Yeah. So check that out too. So until next Monday at 7:30, when I will try to be here in time and ready for next Monday at 7:30 because we were late again from my fault. Thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you again till next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.